Struggling to get great sleep? Discover how Dr. Bob Levine's drug-free methods can help you sleep better, wake up fully refreshed, and enjoy a healthier, more vibrant life every day. Welcome to WellWaveNOW. We're your portal to actionable wellness insights. Meet your empowerment team. There's Breck, the healthcare disruptor, decoder of medication complexities, and community and integrative wellness expert. Dr. Bob Levine, renowned brain researcher and national leader in drug-free pain elimination. And I'm Tim Daniels, your wellness plan manager, builder of personalized wellness approaches as unique as you are, with an experience and expertise in pulse electromagnetic field therapy. Together, we are your wellness catalysts. We're committed to elevating your health, enhancing your functionality, and optimizing your performance at every life stage. We're WellWaveNOW, where timeless wisdom lights your wellness path. Today, we are honored to feature one of our own. That's Dr. Bob Levine, who I mentioned. A little more on Bob. With over 30 years of brain research, Dr. Bob has pioneered drug-free methods for stress and pain relief, plus improving sleep. With successful clinical trials that show the effectiveness of his integrative therapies, his work has earned significant recognition in neurological and psychiatric fields. In today's episode, we will share his sleep optimization strategies that help people wake up fully refreshed and ready to thrive. So welcome, Bob. We're
great to be here with you, with everybody. It's really going to be a fun podcast today. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's always fun with you, Bob.
Thank you.
It's fun with you and Breck. But today, let's kind of start out before we jump into how to get good sleep and the challenges with it. Let's define what is good sleep and its importance and the impact that poor sleep can have on daily life. You want to start off the comments on that, Bob?
Well, so what is good sleep? That's the question. Good sleep is whatever makes you feel great when you wake up in the morning, fully refreshed and fully flexible and fluid in your movements instantly when you get out of bed, and you have energy all day long with no lags. And when it's time to go to sleep at night, you go to sleep really easily and you sleep deeply. Your body heals overnight. That's one of the great things that happens during sleep. The cells in the body can heal. And again, same thing. You wake up refreshed and ready to go. So that's how I define good sleep. And then the hours don't really matter. I mean, some people can do 6 hours. I like 7 myself. If I get 6, I'm fine. If I get 8, it's okay too. It's different for different people is what I found. And I've dealt with thousands of people in terms of all kinds of issues, including sleep disturbance. So that's how I would characterize really good sleep.
Yeah, let's get into that a little bit because it's one thing to have a theory, right? But you've tested this on thousands of patients. And how did you get there, Dr. Bob? Was it first trying to alleviate pain and then realize there was a direct connection between pain and sleep, or did you start with sleep?
Well, that's a great question. I started with pain because I had to solve my own chronic back and hip pain from my football days, which came on about 10 years later. And I had to do that through alternative therapies. Once I was able to heal myself with the great guidance of a lot of different practitioners, and get back to sports and having fun again, and really just life was much better when I was completely out of pain. And anybody who's in pain knows how devastating that can be, especially if you've had it for a long time. And I started running clinical trials in Henry Ford Health System when I worked there years ago because I wanted to collect the data. I realized that you need really good quality data to get something that's new into the mainstream of healthcare. And so that's where the clinical trials came from. And I started running large group programs, multi-session large group programs, so that I could test the modalities I was using. And all the modalities I was using, they're hands off. I led from the stage, things that I could teach people. And then I gave people assignments that they could do and they would take them home. So I focused on pain. The first study I did was in chronic back pain, but I knew that as a holistic health practitioner, you learn that you can't just work on one area of the body or one attribute of the body. You got to work on the whole human being. So hence the name holistic. And so I knew that I wanted to track other things. So I tracked anxiety using a validated GAD-7 scale. I used the perceived stress scale for stress, looking at stress before the program and then after the program, and then significant time later after the program ended. And the other one I did was, among others, was the Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Index, which is a really nice scale to assess sleep disturbance. And so in those studies that I did, and I did those studies with over 2,500 people, I was able to show that when we did the multi-session program using non-pharmacological approaches, everybody gave assignments, guided meditation, audio tracks, different assignments to do with the way I handled sleep. I don't want to go into all the multimodal approach, but the key thing I think was the guided meditation and the coaching around sleep hygiene, how to handle, before you go to sleep, what to do, what works and what doesn't work. And then I collected all the data pre and post program, and then 16 months after the program. And it was amazing how much sleep improved for the people, among other things, less pain, less stress, less anxiety, less depression symptoms, all statistically significant, and sleep as well. So
yeah, that's key, Bob. I know we touched a little bit on what good sleep, and when I loop back to that, I'm going to get technical on you because I like hours, But aside from that, you mentioned kind of the stress and anxiety relief. So we didn't really get into, people who kind of sort of intuitively, don't feel bad and they don't have good sleep, but I don't think everyone completely understands how impactful poor sleep is. You touched a little bit on the stress and anxiety, but dive into that part a little bit more of stress, anxiety, anything else you want to mention.
I think there's regarding poor sleep. I think in the effects of poor sleep, I think there's nothing more devastating to a person, or maybe it's number two behind chronic pain, because chronic pain is really something just hard to deal with. Poor sleep affects everything. It affects our energy levels during the day. It affects our performance at work and play. It affects our relationships, our communication, the way we think about things, our ability to respond to circumstances and challenges. So, and also our body needs to restore itself overnight with good quality sleep. And if for prolonged periods of time we're not getting that, the body will suffer, the whole human being will suffer. So that's what I would say about and there's a lot more negative effects. You can talk about internal organ effects, you can talk about a lot of things, but generally speaking, the activities of daily living are wildly affected in a way that's not helpful for a person.
Right. That's part of those activities of daily living, that one, they're just used to see this in my home care days. Poor sleep, you're more prone to falls. But aside from that, you talk about the effect on the whole human body. What's also there is it's been shown that as you talk about prolonged, you get your immune system is affected. So you're more prone to disease. Your hormonal system is affected. For example, your insulin resistance changes, so it affects your weight and things of that nature. Bob, which you always like to hear me say.
Yeah, that's my favorite of your phrases, Tim.
So it goes to your extent, it goes on and on. But I just want to. It's certainly the emotional, the relational impact is key. But I also want people to understand that this sleep is, as you said, is critical across not only that spectrum, but also their health spectrum, their physical health spectrum as well.
Absolutely. It's also important to note that the human being in general is so resilient and resistant to the long-term effects of illness. I mean, you have people who can smoke for 50 years before they experience bad effects. You have people who have sleep disturbance for 50 years. You have people who are drinking alcohol excessively for 50 years, doing drugs excessively for 50 years. And it's not until you get to some point where you've burned out the body's ability to be resilient and ward off the effects of that, where all of a sudden, it's not all of a sudden, it's been happening over time, but the crash occurs, right?
Yep.
And so that's one of the problems. People don't understand how much they're hurting themselves by having the wrong diet, and having sleep disturbance, having, chronic pain. Go ahead, Breck.
Yeah, no, it just kind of compounds, right? It builds and builds upon itself. I wanted to bring us back to something that I think I saw on one of your, I don't know if it was the ABC, when you were on ABC or NBC or the Bloom TV, one of those, you talked about there were 4 different categories of sleep, dysfunction. And I was hoping you would go into what are those 4 categories and how do you approach each one of them?
That's a great question. So I separate sleep disturbance into 4 groups. And I do that just to keep things really simple. And I like to break things up so people can get an idea where they fall into a category, right? So the first group are the people who have difficulty falling asleep. Like they don't even want to go to near their bed. When they think about their bed, it's like, that's the place where I don't sleep well. I'm going to stay on the couch. I'm going to watch television. I'm going to do something. And then I'll tire myself out, and then I'll drag myself into bed, and hopefully I can fall asleep. And so that's the first group, having difficulty just going to sleep. The second group, they don't have a problem going to sleep. They can get into bed and they go to sleep really quickly and deep, and start out into getting deep sleep. And then they wake up in the middle of the night. That group, that's the group that most people fall into. And the first thing that goes through somebody's mind when they wake up in the middle of the night is, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. It's the uh-oh phenomenon. I'm in trouble, right? And what are they in trouble about? Well, they're in trouble because they're wondering, okay, oh, I'm awake. It always takes me a long time to go back to sleep. The way they even talk about it, I call that their future vision for the sleep for the rest of the night is really corrupted by, I never fall back asleep easily. This is going to be really terrible. My day tomorrow is going to be messed up. I'm going to be tired all day long. I'm going to need a nap at the end of the day. I have big meetings coming up, whatever it is. They speak about it in a way right then when they're awake and going, uh-oh, they're actually programming themselves and programming their future next few hours to be really uncomfortable and dysfunctional, basically. Nobody wakes up and goes, oh, it's 3 a.m. I feel really good and I've been sleeping well. And I'm just going to roll over and go back to sleep in just moments. And if it's not in the next moment, it's in a few moments after that. And I'll be
I think
sleeping
it's an
deeply
age thing,
again.
Dr. Bob. It's definitely an age thing, right? Because I remember, younger, that would happen. You'd wake up, you'd look at the clock and you'd say, "Oh, great, I got 3 more hours of sleep." Boom, you go right back to sleep. And now as you get older, people look at the clock and go, "Oh, dang it, I've got 3 hours that I've got to suffer and roll around in bed here before it's time to get up."
I think to a certain extent, you're right, Breck, because, I remember when I was younger and it didn't matter how many hours of sleep I got. I'd go to bed at 3 a.m. I'd be up at 7 going to the gym or something, not even thinking about lack of sleep. But that's not entirely true for everybody because the uh-oh phenomenon affects a lot of different people, in different ways. That's what I call it, the uh-oh phenomenon. So anyway, that's group number 2. They wake up and then they're up for hours. And, some people get up and they watch TV or they read a book or they start thinking about things. And that's because of the way they are orienting themselves for the rest of the night, the future for the rest of the night, right? How's it going to go? So I train people about future visioning, which is, hey, when you wake up in the middle of the night, it's just a wonderful opportunity to appreciate the fact that you're going to go to sleep right away. And it's going to be really great. And you're going to, restore your energy. And so there's different ways to look at it. But clearly going uh-oh and having all the thoughts about related to uh-oh is not going to work very well. So that's group 2. Group 3 has both of those phenomenon. They don't go to sleep well. They drag themselves into bed. They finally fall asleep. Wake up in the middle of the night. Uh-oh phenomenon. Again, that's group 3. That's probably one of the toughest because you're going to bed late. You're dragging yourself into bed. You're waking up in the middle of the night. Uh-oh, and then you're projecting that you're not going to have a great rest of the day and be awake the rest of the evening. So the 4th group is really an interesting group, and nobody really thinks about this group. But if you think about people who go to sleep, they get their 6, 7, 8, 9. Tim likes 10 hours. I know that. So, so they get. I'm just joking, Tim. I don't know what number it is.
During the day, 7 to 9 is my perfect amount. But extra, when I get that extra hour nap during the day.
There you go. Yeah, I was just joking anyway, Tim. So because I didn't know your numbers before you said anything. So 7 to 9 for you. That's beautiful. That's kind of like me too. So people go to sleep, sleep deeply. They don't wake up in the middle of the night, and then they wake up in the morning and they're tired. And they're stiff and they get out of bed and it's like, oh God, and they have trouble even standing up and getting their body moving. And they got to go take a hot shower for 30 minutes to work themselves into movement. And so that's an interesting group because that's a group that has what I call sensory motor amnesia, is a fancy term for they're not aware that their muscles are in contraction all night long. Certain muscles, not all of them. Like let's say some on the left side of the body stay in contraction, burning energy, right? When you're burning energy all night long, you're gonna be tired in the morning. And then different muscles on the right side stay in contraction. So you got this differential dysfunction. And so that's what creates all the stiffness because the muscles that have been on all night long, they don't want to move too well because they're tired, right? So that's the 4th group. And then I have to treat people like that completely differently because they don't have the typical group 1, 2, or 3 issues. They have the neuromuscular energy burning tiredness phenomenon. And also their future vision when they go to sleep might be like, I always wake up tired. I always wake up tired in the morning. I always do. I can't, it's just the way it is for me, right? They're projecting exactly what's going to happen. Whatever people are thinking or saying in the present moment is likely to happen. So if I always wake up tired, no matter what, even if I got 12 hours, I'd wake up tired and stiff and hard to move around. That's what's going to happen. So I train people with language. I taught communication training for a lot of years to thousands of people. And it's really fantastic when people can learn simple language rules that they can apply to their life, and it can really make massive changes. I've coached people just on communication, how to think about and talk about their life, and that can make all the change, everything they need to make shifts in the world without having to do anything else.
Yeah, so well, you're kind of moving, I think, in the direction we want to go anyway. which is we talk about the communication and the future visioning into now what do you do in each one of these four stages and how do you how do you address them? And so Shamiko's got so he's right on time, came with the question we're leading into. However you want to start it, yes, she said, let me bring that back up. So you have that question in hand as we go into that. She said, can you expand a bit more on future visioning? Share a simple tip on how others can start or do this step. So, and I think you're also going to demonstrate another technique later on as part of this. But let's go ahead in whatever order, if you want to start from number 4 back or number 1 down. Talk about how do we address each one of these dysfunctional sleep issues.
I think it's really important when we talk about sleep dysfunction. I think it's really important to talk about what can we do before we go to sleep to get ready for sleep. That's so important. Some people call it sleep hygiene. I call it getting ready for sleep. Okay, so but really nobody should be eating at minimum of 2 hours before sleep, preferably 3 hours. No eating. The thing about eating is when it's known through the scientific discovery that when you eat close to bedtime and go to sleep, the food and digestion is going to inhibit growth hormone release from certain cells, and growth hormone is really important for cellular repair overnight. So that's one of the main reasons why we don't want to eat right before we go to bed.
But Dr. Bob, I'm in training to be a sumo wrestler, so that isn't that what I want to do, is eat right before I go to sleep.
Well, not really. What you want to do is just eat all day long. Make sure you get enough calories in. So, if people are going to sleep, let's just say people are going to sleep at 11 p.m. They should really stop eating by 8. That would be my advice. And also fluid intake it's really important to stay hydrated during the day. Most people are not hydrating properly, and you want to hydrate from morning until dinner time. That's it. And you don't want to be hydrating after dinner. So what I do with my water is I keep a water bottle or a glass of water next to my bed. And if I wake up or before I go to bed, I'll take a little, first of all, go to the bathroom before you go to bed. Absolutely. I don't care how many times or when I went to the bathroom last, could have been 20 minutes ago. I'm going again and seeing what I can do, because I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night 4 times and have to go to the bathroom. That disrupts all sleep in a crazy way. So it's really important to see if you can make it through the night completely, or maybe get up once in the middle of the night. My doctor friend says, oh, if you're only getting up once, you're doing great, because most people are getting up multiple times. But I'll keep this by my bed, and if I wake up and I feel parched a little bit, sometimes when people eat a high salt meal, they'll get parched. You can just take a sip, swish it around in your mouth just a little bit. It solves the feeling of dehydration and parched mouth, and then the future visioning kicks in. Okay. So I'll define that in a minute, but let's finish sleep hygiene, right? So it's really important also to keep electronics out of your view and way when you're going to sleep. So TV in bed is a no-no. It's just a no-no. People love to do it, but I don't recommend it. It's not a good idea. Maybe by exception, if you're watching, I don't know, some late night show that you have to see, okay. But as a general rule, you don't want to have TV on in your bedroom. Some people don't even allow TVs in their bedroom, right? If you have your cell phone, I recommend that you get these 5G inhibitors that you can just a little flat click and slap on your phone, and that'll help ward off any of the effects of the EMFs, the electromagnetic frequencies that are coming off these electronic devices. And you can keep the cell phone away from your head, just keep it at a distance, and that can make a big difference. So the room can be dark. It doesn't have to be dark, but it's really nice if it is dark, because you've got the pineal gland, which is regulating the circadian rhythm, and you've got melatonin release at night when the lights go out. Melatonin release from the pineal gland, starting from tryptophan through serotonin to melatonin. So these are things that you can do. Let's see, what else can I think of?
A couple of things like we talked about a few times is also in terms of keeping the room temperature at the right way for you, cool if you can. Stuff when you're down in Phoenix, like Breck, and there's nothing you can do, even with the air conditioning going full blast. It's still going to be 100 degrees at night. You just got to get used to it in that room. But it's a room temperature. Also, some people like certain aromas that can help. It's like
I have a diffuser in my room, so essential oil diffuser, and I love that. I mean, it's away from me, and it doesn't have a light on it, and I put some frankincense in there, some lavender in there, and turn that on. It's just wonderful. It's really, really nice. And also, people, first of all, if somebody's a smoker, I don't recommend it. But if you're a smoker, you want to avoid smoking cigarettes before you go to bed. Nicotine is something that'll keep you awake. Alcohol may allow you to go to sleep easily, but it can also get you up in the middle of the night. So those are types of things you want to avoid before you go to bed.
Yeah. All right. So
Okay,
then
so now I'd like to talk, if it's okay, I'd like to talk about future vision to answer that question. All right. Well, what is the future vision? The future vision is whatever somebody is thinking and saying that they want to produce in the future, whatever results they want. So what are the results of the future vision for somebody who wants really great sleep? I call it the true future vision. So before people go to bed, I recommend that they say, oh, to themselves, they say, they have the thought and they say, I'm going to go to sleep really easily tonight. I'm going to go to sleep quickly. I'm going to sleep deeply. I sleep all the way through the night. I wake up in the morning so refreshed. I have so much energy. It's amazing when I wake up how I feel in the morning. And then I'm ready for the day. I get up. There's no need for any kind of stretching or movement because my body's ready to go. I got great healing overnight. All the cells in my body, especially my internal organs, were healing up. You know, we can't feel our internal organs. They don't have a lot of sensory perception unless they're really in trouble, right? So we want to have our mind addressing. See, to me, the mind is the control center. The mind is the overarching controller, and it directs the brain what to do. To me, the brain is an electrochemical computer, or whatever you want to, however you want to refer to it. And the brain doesn't exactly know what to do unless it's delivering the autonomic nervous system functions like heart beating and breathing and other digestive phenomena, things like that. But when the mind tells the brain what to do, it's incredible what the brain can accomplish, and the mind and the brain working together. So I always ask a question before I go to bed. It's like, in the morning, I'd like the answer to this question because I'm thinking about this and right now, and I can go to sleep without thinking about it because I'm directing my mind and brain to work together to, let's say, release my back pain that I've been having. Okay, so I'm going to wake up in the morning completely free of back pain. I'm going to wake up in the morning completely refreshed from a great night's sleep. So does that kind of give you a feel for what the future vision is? And I want to, that's what I call the true future vision. Then I have a term that I call the corrupt future vision. The corrupt future vision is for somebody who's has sleep disturbances. I am a terrible sleeper. I am a terrible sleeper. I never get to sleep fast. I always wake up in the middle of the night several times. I start thinking about everything. It's really doesn't work for me. And then I'm up most of the night, wake up, then I go back to sleep for a little bit. I wake up exhausted. And the next day is terrible. That's what I call a corrupt future vision, because somebody is thinking that and they're speaking that in the present tense, which drives it right into the future vision. And then they're stuck with it as they go forward. So here's a little communication tip. Anything we want to leave behind and be free of, we speak about in the past tense. Like up until last night, I had a challenge going to sleep quickly. Tonight, I go to sleep really quickly because it's easy for me to go to sleep quickly, easily, and sleep deeply, wake up fully refreshed, sleep all the way through the night. And everything else I want to, whatever else, it's my future vision. It's not yours or anybody else's. So I can create it any way I want.
Yeah, to your point, a couple of things that's on that future vision and different angle, and the part about waking up at night. For years, I haven't tried it recently because I'm catching up to you now, Bob. So I don't know if I can still do it. But I used to always, instead of planning, if I wanted to get up at 6 a.m., I would just tell myself, wake up at 6 a.m. I didn't set the alarm clock. I would set the time, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
I would wake up at 6 a.m. If I changed it to 6:30, I'd wake up at 6:30. So that mind is always aware, spirit's always out there looking. So you can put that in.
The mind is responsive. The mind is responsive to what you are. And the mind and the brain are responsive to what your direction is, right? What your conscious direction is. And the subconscious mind is what's at work to wake people up when they consciously declare, I want to get up at 6:30. I want to get up at 8. I want to get up at 5. Sometimes I have to get up really early. I have to sleep 3 or 4 hours. Very rarely, but sometimes if I'm working on a project. And before I go to bed, it's like, I got 3 hours to sleep. This is so great. I'm going to sleep so deeply. I'm going to fall asleep so quickly. I want to sleep deeply. When I wake up, I'm going to be completely refreshed. And I mean, hey.
And the other thing I think supports some of your work. When I started waking up consistently, maybe a time or two at night, I first started getting worried about it, and I studied it. And then two things came from that, and then a coping technique. One thing I came from that is that years ago, centuries ago, when people went to bed earlier, I guess because of no electricity and getting up very early to work, they had what they call a second sleep. They would wake up and they found something to do in that in between time. They might light a candle and read, they might pray, they might do something else, and then they'd go back to sleep for their second sleep. So I adopted that. So if I wake up at midnight, which I often do, I'll now And the Wordle comes out at 12 midnight. So I'll say, wow, this is an opportunity to do my Wordle before my wife does. And she always tries to catch me in the morning. Did you do your Wordle? But yes, I did it. I woke up at 12 tomorrow, and then I go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll wake up at after 3 before I want to. So then what I do, 3 o'clock is when the spelling bee comes out. And so I'll get up and I'll do a little bit of the spelling bee, and I'll say, boy, I got my jump on my spelling bee, and I'll go back to sleep, and I'll be refreshed on that.
There you go. Yeah, really, people need to think.
One time before I turn it back to you, and I think we may want to take a break and then come back. I know you got a couple of for the promo, but we got a couple more of those dysfunctional things to go through. But that waking up at night a couple of times brought a thought back to me, and I'm sure you do this with your clients as part of it. But I want to remain the crowd and the audience should also be aware and think about, is there anything medically off? I will tell you, I was waking up even when I was for a while getting good sleep, and I'd wake up more in that stage where you talk about I'm dragging, it's not feeling good. It's when I would say good sleep in terms of quantity, there's quantity and quality. I'd wake up dragging. And it wasn't until it was caught by accident when I was going into my primary care physician for something else that she found that I had a urinary tract infection. When that cleared up, my sleep got better. So sometimes it's something as simple. And I noticed that when in the home care business with elderly females, when they had a urinary tract infection, we could see it throwing them off mentally. I really hadn't seen that in males before, but something as simple as that was throwing off the quality of my sleep.
Well, yeah, I mean, if people are getting up 2, 3, 4 times a night to go to the bathroom, well, that they're either drinking too much liquid before they go to bed, which really is a problem. Just stop doing that, because that's easy to resolve. Or they have some kind of urinary issue that they want to get checked out. And that's why it's important to monitor yourself. Like, how are you feeling? What's happening with you? So you can actually accurately describe it to your physicians or your holistic health practitioner like me or whoever it is. You just want to be able to understand what's going on for you, so you can accurately relay that. So that, because all of us, the doctors, the physicians, me, we're all like little detectives. We need the information. Once the information comes in, we can interpret it and figure out exactly what should be done or could be done to solve the issue.
All right, so I think about your future visioning, and most people don't even know they're doing it, but they are doing it, right? Like anytime that I have an early flight, I'll set an alarm, but I always wake up before the alarm because I've had that future vision. I don't want to miss my alarm, so I don't miss my flight. Yeah. And so I think most people have practiced it, but didn't realize they were practicing it. But it's kind of like now with this power, are you using it for good or for evil? And that's where you want to make sure it's a positive future vision.
Yeah, the problem is that people don't understand how their language is so important. The way we speak about things, the way we think about things. When we're speaking, and in our society is from very young age is trained to speak in the present tense. Like when people tell stories, it's like, and then I go over there and I put the thing on the table. It's all present tense. And then he comes in and he takes the thing up, and this happened a year ago, right? But we're speaking about it like it's happening right now. So most people in society are speaking in the present tense. And they have no understanding that when we say something that doesn't serve us going forward in the future, and we speak about it in the present tense, it goes automatically into the future vision, and it gets stuck there. And so we're going right for that what we just said or thought that we don't want to be doing. So, and it's a simple adjustment. It's really amazing, but it takes a little training and it takes a little while.
Yeah, so I know you love your future visioning, Bob. That gets you to where you want to be. But there's something else that you harp on quite a bit, and that I think plays in, and that's your muscle. I always forget the complete name of it, dynamic muscle tension relief or muscle release. But in that, into your 4 functional areas, does that play in the pre-sleep routine? Does it play in when you're waking up at night? How, where does that play in? And remember, you got to demonstrate that to us as well.
All right, that's a great question, Tim. So I have 2 techniques that are related to neuromuscular reeducation. So one of the techniques is I call neuromuscular movement reeducation routine, and the other one I call effective muscle release routine. So the movement reeducation routines are the neuromuscular movement reeducation routines are simple movements that people can do. And let's see, let me just give you, it could be something like somebody has a bad shoulder. It could be a shoulder circle routine. It could be a head circle. It could be a foot activity that I have somebody do that without having their hands on the muscles and without retraining the muscles like the effective muscle release process. So in the effective muscle release process, remember I said that the group 4 slept through the night. They had certain muscles, different muscles in the body that were in excess contraction, burning energy all night long, super fatigued. When I put my hand on this, when I put my finger on that muscle, it's like it can be excruciatingly painful with very little pressure because that muscle's like, leave me alone. You know, I'm exhausted and I'm in pain, forget it. So the effective muscle release routines, they were developed by people like Moshe Feldenkrais, a very famous Israeli physicist, and Thomas Hanna, who developed the somatics. Both of those guys have since passed. And so I learned about those techniques from some of their disciples. They're fantastic techniques. And I basically evolved them in a way to do these techniques differently. So I'll just give you a quickie example. Like I like to give people the routines around the neck because almost everybody carries tension in the head, neck, and the neck and shoulders. And the reason why is because if their head is forward, like they have a forward head posture, gravity's at work and there are no muscles. There's no skeletal muscle. The skeleton is not holding the head up. Whereas when the head is back over the shoulders where it belongs, there's no fatigue because the spine is holding the head up and the neck muscles are balanced front to back and they're not overly working. But as soon as the head goes forward, then these muscles in the back have to contract to hold the head up. Otherwise, the head falls. And so that's why people carry tension all the time. And it's the way they sit in the car. It's the way they sit at their desk. And every time I talk like this, everybody starts, sitting up really straight, But so I like to teach people how to do effective muscle release routines. And I teach it in bed because everybody eventually is going to get into bed. And I teach it in a way that people can spend, 2 to 5 minutes doing this, right? And so what happens is you want the muscles to be completely relaxed and as released as possible. And you can feel that when you rub them down like this. And you can get pretty intrusive once you're used to it. Like if you start doing this right now, you're going to feel like, wow, man, it hurts. But once you've done it for a while, like I have, there's no pain there. I can actually move my trachea out of the way and get my fingers right on the anterior or front side of my spinal vertebrae and work the muscles that are right there. And so, but when I first do that with people, I have to be very light touch because I don't want them to experience a lot of discomfort, which they always experience discomfort because nobody gets in there and does that really that I know. Almost no practitioners do that. It's very, very rare to find somebody. So what happens is you would simply, if you were laying down in bed, you would put your hands on your throat right here, and you would take a couple of breaths. Like I always have people take 2 breaths, and then they would move their head forward and feel these muscles on the front of the neck and the side of the neck, especially this big one, the sternocleidomastoid on the side, contract. And then they would exhale, lower their head down and keep their hands on it because then you can feel instantly when it contracts. And then you would take a couple of breaths and just rub the tissues and ensure that they've relaxed and released. So there's, the neck moves in 4 ways. There's front, there's back, and there's turn to the side, bring it forward, turn to the other side, bring it forward. You just do those 4 simple movements done slowly, coordinated with breath. I teach people how to do that. And then you do that. It takes a few minutes. And then people just want to go to sleep right after that. It's like, yeah, I'm going to sleep. This is great. I want to go to sleep. I'll just give you an example. Like if all of you were sitting in a chair and you just let your arms relax and you're sitting at the edge of your chair and your arms can hang gently by your side. If you just raise your arm up like this, just raise it up like this. And then when it gets to a certain point, try and determine when the deltoid muscle, the one that runs across the top of the shoulder and down the arm somewhat, when you feel that contraction, see if you can sense when it contracts. So you would raise it slowly. And most people get to around 45 degrees or so, and they say, I think I feel it right now. I think I feel it contract. Okay, so the question I have for them is, okay, how do you think your arm got from down here next to your body up to there? Do you think the muscle was contracting before you felt it? And the answer, of course, is yes, right? So if you take your hand and you just take your one or 2 fingers and just put them right on the muscle right there, and then feel the muscle, tap on it, wiggle it, see that it's relaxed and not contracting, and then do the same movement and see when you can feel the muscle contract. And it's instantaneous because the limb can't move until the muscle contracts. So I tell people, okay, tell me when you feel it contracting, and they go like this. I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. Okay. So because once they feel it contract, then they can feel it relax and release. And that's the key. We got to get these muscles to let go when they've been in a fixed I call it automatic pattern. There's a neuromuscular automatic pattern. There's a thought, thinking, the automatic pattern of the way we think, automatic pattern of the way we eat, automatic pattern of the way we communicate, automatic pattern of our belief system. There's all these automatic patterns that run our lives, and they reside in the subconscious mind, right? So
And
that's
then so from a sleep standpoint,
yeah.
when do you use that technique? Is it pre-sleep when you wake up, or
In bed before going to sleep. I teach a whole series of movements depending on what somebody has from a pain or stiffness or inflexibility standpoint. But I like the head and neck because just about everybody benefits from it. And that should be done laying in bed after you've done everything else pre-sleep. You got it ready to go. You're in bed and you're just laying down. Okay, I'm going to do these nice and easy. And you start future visioning, great sleep, relaxing all the muscles in the body, letting go for the evening, just relaxing. You just get into the whole relaxation phenomenon. And then, of course, I recommend when they wake up, we do the same thing.
Yeah, you've got so much good here and so much help. We got to get the Breck's promo a little bit. And so I love that. Might have to do another one on this sleep, but I want to make sure we at least touch upon the other dysfunction. I think you covered a lot in the pre-bed routine to get to bed, sleep easily. We've covered some things in what happens when you wake up. Want to have that future vision and other things like that. What about the two other areas of sleep dysfunction? What are a couple things? Certainly people can engage with you when they want to go through this, but like we always like to give our audience some actionable things. We've given them actionable things in two of those categories. For the other two, what are a couple of actionable things they could take away to help if they've got the other type of sleep dysfunctions? Like when they wake up, let's take the one.
Okay.
Wake up and they're not refreshed, and then go.
Well, if they wake up and they're not refreshed, they probably have the neuromuscular contraction, excess reflex neuromuscular contraction problem, right? Also, diet has a lot to do with this. You can't eliminate. You got to be eating well and eating right. It's really important, So there's a lot of factors, and when I coach people around sleep, I deal with all of those things. But clearly, the mind-body connection is super important. The future visioning is really important at every stage, whether somebody's dragging themselves into bed because they don't like the bed because it represents lack of sleep. They need future visioning. Person wakes up in the middle of the night, of course, they need future visioning. They're going right back to sleep. It's fantastic, The sun, and somebody's waking up multiple times in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. They got to watch out their fluid intake in a big way. And then people who wake up tired, they've got they need, everybody would benefit from future visioning. So I recommend that people, the actionable step would be before you go to sleep, get the sleep hygiene taken care of, and spend like 2 minutes on your future vision. How do you want to sleep? How's it going to go for you? So how do I want my business to go? How do I want my relationship to go? What do I want to work on? What do I want my mind and brain to work on overnight while I'm sleeping deeply? What's the question I'm going to ask myself? Everybody should be doing it. That'd be fantastic. It'll really help them.
All right. So before we come back, we want to get a real life success story from you with many clients you work with. Before that, I think Breck has a couple of things he'd like to share with the audience.
Yeah, and also wanted to let you know, Dr. Bob, a lot of love on live. You're getting a lot of hearts on live, so keep those hearts coming in and supporting the topic today for Dr. Bob.
Thank you.
We'll give you his contact information, how to get in contact with him here shortly. But first off, we want to thank our sponsor for this half hour. It is Better Alt, committed to supporting and enhancing well-being. Now, according to independent studies and also PubMed.gov, this supplement can improve your energy level, enhance cognitive function, support healthy aging, while boosting your immune system. So as we move into the cold and flu season, that's very important. This supplement has 85 to 87 of the 102 trace minerals that your body needs to actually live and survive. It's the pure Himalayan Shilajit. I have the honey sticks. That's what I take every morning to get those minerals that I may be lacking in all of my other foods that I'm eating. So it's by Better Alt. You can find it at thebetteralt.com. GNC and other fine retailers. I actually have a coupon right now for 15% off in the TikTok shop. We'll leave a link in the show notes so you can get that 15% off if you buy.
That's another thing, Breck. I'm glad you brought that up because most people are mineral deficient.
Yep.
And so that can play a factor in sleep too. I mean, people really need to get all the minerals. And so having a product like that or others is really wonderful. So I'm glad you brought that up. The other thing I wanted to say really quickly, though, is that I use guided meditation a lot. I ask people before they go to sleep to listen to a guided meditation track that I've produced, better sleep, higher performance. And if somebody wants that track, they can email me and I'll send it on to our listeners today. I'll provide that to them for free. So my email address is drbob@boblevine, Levine.com. So it's drbob@boblevine.com. Email me, say you'd like the guided meditation audio track, and I'll get that to you.
Yeah, you mentioned about us being mineral deficient. Anyone that produces protein, so chicken farmers, hog farmers, beef, farmers, they all know this, right? They put their livestock on a special nutrition pellet, and they make sure they're getting all the nutrients. And then what do they do right before harvest? They take the pellet away. And now that animal is eating everything in sight because they're deficient in minerals and they're looking for it in everything. And that's how they fatten them up.
Yeah, it's really, really super important, very important. Yeah, I'm surprised I forgot about the guided meditation audio tracks because, I've had people, that's the one thing that helps people sleep the most. They put on the audio track and we have I have special language that I include in there. And, I tell people to listen to it once a week, like they're listening to a lecture in the subconscious state so they can get the language, learn the language that I'm using. But then the rest of the week, just put it on and go to sleep, fall asleep to it. Because we say the mind is always listening.
Because it's your week, Bob, I'm gonna let that one slide. Boy, you just threw me a slow pitch right down the middle. But
what are you talking about? What does that mean?
listen to it like it's a lecture. That's like, yeah, Dr. Bob put you to sleep.
Okay.
That was a give me. That was a give me.
There you go.
You gave your email address already, Dr. Bob. I want to make sure everybody knows how to also get all of your other socials and everything. And you can find Dr. Bob at drbobtalks.com. Some great resources there. I've been enjoying watching his broadcasts on ABC, NBC, Bloom TV. There's some fun interviews that he has up there that I think you'll enjoy as well. So drbobtalks.com.
With that, so people, as we mentioned, you've had a lot of success done with a number of different people across those 4 areas of sleep dysfunction. Anyone that you want to call out in particular that you'd like to share?
I have an interesting story about sleep to tell you. So I always, when I do large group programs, I've done group programs of anywhere from 50 to 200 people at a time. I teach from the stage. It's a multi-session program. I give people all the tools they need to get the job done for themselves. They become their own healers, which is really important. And I've delivered those to corporations like Dow and Chrysler and Blue Cross Blue Shield, as well as churches and other institutions. And so in the first session, I always give out a guided meditation audio track for people to listen to between the first session and the second session. And one woman in particular came up to me after the first session and said, will this guided meditation help my sleep? And I said, yeah, for sure, it'll help your sleep. No question about it. And because she described her sleep dysfunction, which is basically waking up in the middle of the night and going, oh, I'm in trouble, and then being awake the rest of the night and exhausted during the day, right? And get kids and jobs and everything else. So I said, yeah, that'll help your sleep. Go ahead and use it and let me know next week how it is. So she came back 1 week later and she said, Dr. Bob, I cannot listen to this audio track. I can't listen to it because it's your voice. Could you make me an audio track with a female voice? So what did that tell me immediately? Mm-hmm. She's got an issue with men in general because, otherwise she could listen to it, no problem, right? So I said to her, okay, I'll tell you what, I could make you a guided meditation audio track with a female voice. I could do that for you. And I have an alternative suggestion if you're open to it. My recommendation is that you take the audio track with my voice and simply have a breakthrough in listening to it. Just listen to it and just notice whatever comes up, whatever you start thinking about, whatever, if there's some person in your life that shows up in your mind or whatever it happens to be. I didn't say anything about men. I just said, just see what comes up and listen to it all the way through. And then if you can do that all week long, if it doesn't work for you, come back next week. I'll make you one with a woman's voice. And if it works for you, let me know what happened, right? So she came back the next week and she said, perfect, I can do it. It's no problem. I understand what I understand what was coming up for me. It had to do with her father and, other things that were going on. So anyway, she slept great from that moment on. It's wonderful.
All right.
Well, this has been a very timely session to talk about sleep, right? Because I think about 50% of the country is going to have a hard time going to sleep in the next couple of days here after the election, right? So
That or the time change. The time change is messing people up too.
Yeah, depending on what you might be of interest in happening, it may not go your way or not. So, yeah, people may be losing some sleep here in the next little while. But yeah, very, very great topic. We're definitely going to have to spend another hour on this. We have so many more questions we'd like to get into, but for the interest of time, I do want to make sure that we leave our teaser there, Tim, on what is in store for next week.
Yep, absolutely. So appreciate that. And so like we got the testimony from Dr. Bob on that person he was working with, is very impactful. So along those lines, what we're starting to do start doing here on a periodic basis is have what we call a wellness hero line. And may have worked with some of us, may have not, but using techniques and approaches and that we advocate and share, have them come on and tell their story themselves. And so we've got one next week. So our first one, Susie Simonson, who had a devastating stroke at a very, very young age and was challenged with very ongoing headaches. She's going to come and share how she was able to heal herself and how she went about that and how she maintains her health on that. So I think that's a very powerful statement and testimony she'll have, and hopefully it'll be inspiring to others to say that they can take care of their health, take charge of their health, and go back to thriving like we like to have them do, get the maximum potential of their physical health.
Sounds great. I mean, stroke is a huge problem in the world, and especially in our country. And to hear from somebody who had such a great recovery will give hope and probably action steps for people that they can take who are in the midst of stroke recovery.
Yeah, her story is amazing. She literally had to relearn everything, how to talk, how to walk, how to do everything. She basically started over her life.
Right. And then she had to find her own path because she didn't have Dr. Bob. She had to find her own path to interrupt those patterns of that were happening to her, that were triggering the headaches and other things.
Yeah, I mean, I really like my automatic pattern recognition and interruption system, because that's really the basis of everything that I do. People are driven by automatic patterns and they don't even know it, because the automatic patterns reside in the subconscious mind. And so once somebody understands that, recognizes their automatic pattern, and then they can interrupt it, they're free of that pattern. And it's a kind of freedom that most people have never experienced. And it's really quite amazing, actually.
Well, it's been awesome to have you on, Dr. Bob. Always great to talk to you and your methods for drug-free solutions, because I've always been a strong proponent of, if the medication side effects are outweighing the benefits, it's time to do something different. So I love that you approach it without medications. And I want to thank everyone that was live on TikTok, Facebook, and our live audience, studio audience here on Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us today. Tim?
Yep, you've got it, Breck, and good pleasure to be here. And Bob, good to benefit from your knowledge in a specific area. And we always benefit from your knowledge in other areas, but we dived right into one of your topics and one of your expertise today. So it's good to benefit from that. Glad we were able to share it with our audience.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.